Palantir stock. Palantir stock is the main subject of today's video, folks. I want to react to two things in this one here today. One is from this article that this gentleman wrote here today, Palantir, 3 reasons to buy the stock. I want to go ahead and read through some of this and kind of share some perspective and opinion on that, okay? And the second thing I want to react to is this video's little 3-minute clip here from today, or actually it's from yesterday. AI may be the biggest investing theme in human history, and I want to hear what this gentleman has to say, kind of react to this one, give my perspective and opinion. I appreciate everybody joining me as always, folks. We are now at 29,600 plus subscribers on the channel, so I appreciate every single person that subscribed to the channel. Thanks for being here, folks, okay? Alrighty, let's get into this. So, summary. I missed the initial move on Palantir as I had a neutral hold rating, but after reviewing Q1 fiscal year 2023 in the company's AIPCon, I am changing my stance to a buy. So this person's going from kind of, let's just call it middle of the pack around Palantir to now they think that the stock's a buy. Palantir is poised to benefit from accelerated U.S. commercial adoption as customer counts and average pricing per customer metrics show sharp improvement. 2 more quarters of GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, net income profitability can unlock institutional and passive investor flows. Management has a track record of beating expectations, consistently surprising on revenue guidance, as well as actual revenue in margin prints. Palantir is a slight valuation premium relative to its historical multiples, but so long as operating momentum and positive surprises continue, I think the stock will do well. Okay. Now, so the first part is, if you want to read through this, I'll put as a pinned comment down there. I did a deal with Seeking Alpha, like a sponsorship deal for my main channel last week. So it was for a free 14-day trial of Seeking Alpha Premium. So if you want to read through this part of the article, you can read through that. This part, I don't even think is really worth looking at, because anything backwards looking as far as many of these numbers, I don't think it is even very, very valuable right now, because I believe there's a fundamental shift going on with Palantir's business model where all these numbers you're looking at for the past are going to be completely irrelevant based upon what I believe is actually happening in the business. But anyways, if you want to read through that section, you can kind of read through that, okay? And also you can get access to all the Palantir articles that people write and things like that, okay? GAAP profitability can unlock institutional and passive flows. Palantir has printed positive GAAP earnings for the second time in Q1 2023. GAAP net income to shareholders. So obviously you can see where things were at for quite a while there, right, in terms of the net income margin. And now we've actually gotten to positive numbers, and Karp says he expects positive numbers to be here on out, right? Importantly, management expects to be profitable for each of the subsequent quarters in fiscal year 2023. Now there's a big shift in what Alex Karp said very recently, okay? And that big major shift that he just changed up very recently was before he was talking about being profitable every quarter in 2023. Now he's talking basically about being profitable from here on out, which is a huge shift in Alex Karp in kind of what he believes is going to happen for this business model moving forward. And that's very meaningful, because if you hear about a company is, they're expecting to be profitable this year, but they're not really leading on to future years, you're kind of like, is this just some short-term phenomenon that's going to happen? But when somebody says they're expected to be profitable as a company from here on out, that's a whole different change. That eliminates that, that nervousness of like, are we, just going to be profitable for a bit and then we're going back to losses? Importantly, management expects to be profitable for each of the subsequent quarters, right? And I believe the profitability profile will increase dramatically as high incremental year-over-year EBIT margins of over 50% drives powerful operating leverage effects. Yes. Now, if you ramp up revenue growth, which I think is going to happen over this next several quarters, I think that's going to supercharge their net margin, and I think their net income is going to increase, let's just call it, quite substantially, much more than I think a lot of folks anticipate over this next many quarters here. This will make Palantir eligible for inclusion in the S&P 500 by the end of Q3 fiscal year 2023, and it would meet the following 2 criteria: is must report positive earnings for the most recent quarter. The sum of earnings in the previous 4 quarters must be positive. This catalyst can unlock a greater flux of institutional passive investor flows for Palantir, which would be a constructive for the stock, obviously, in a huge way. And I've mentioned that a million times, about S&P 500 inclusion, how big that is for the stock price of Palantir for the remainder of this year, and honestly going into 2024. Okay, it's just a huge tailwind behind the stock price specifically, right? Management has a track record of beating expectations. A key part of my thesis relies on trusting management's commentary on revenues and margins. I believe this trust is well earned as Palantir's management has a reliable track record of beating expectations. For example, they have only disappointed consensus revenue expectations in their guidance once in their entire history of 11 quarters. That's pretty darn impressive. I will say that, and that's definitely not a point I've ever made around this stock, but I think that's an important point and just one of the reasons I wanted to cover this article, right? Their actual delivery is even more impressive as they've never had a revenue miss so far. That's pretty darn impressive. That's a hard thing to do, I can tell you that. This same story applies for EBIT margins, no miss yet. Also extremely impressive. Look at these statistics. I gain confidence to take management's commentary and input views on the stock. Now, the reason that is huge, okay, and I've never brought this out as a point in terms of, how on the ball management is with their numbers, right? And if they say they're going to do XYZ number, kind of being in with that on these quarterly numbers, right? But the reason that matters so much is very recently, Alex Karp's gone out there in interviews, and he's saying things like, we have more inbound interest in calls in a month now than we used to have in a year. He's basically leading on like demand for their products is going absolutely insane right now, and we're going to see like a ridiculous amount of deals closed over the next several quarters and several years, right? And if you're going to talk like that, or do you trust the individual making those sorts of comments, right? And so what I just showed you there is very impactful, because if you look at that and you say, well, management team's pretty on the ball about hitting the numbers. They say they're going to do this number for this upcoming quarter. They hit those sorts of numbers, right? And they don't miss. I think that matters for if they just always were throwing out, this number and that number, and they were consistently missing all these numbers. That's a whole different ball game, right? And the trust level is not really there. Valuation. Palantir is currently trading at a 1-year forward P of 61, which corresponds, by the way, I don't think that 4P is accurate whatsoever. I think that's far lower than that. That's just my opinion. We'll see you in the numbers over the next several quarters, which corresponds to a 12.3% premium to the average 1-year forward P of 54.9 since 2022. Personally, I believe the positive business momentum trumps a slightly premium valuation. I think so long as Palantir surprises the street on its operating performance, the stock will continue to outperform. Yes, I also don't think this was relevant. To be honest, Palantir just got to profitability. So when you're coming from a company that's a massive money loser to starting to make infant stage profitability and then start to ramp this baby in a major way over this next few years, I don't even think it's relevant. Just to be honest, trailing 12-month PEs, forward PEs, even price to sales ratios just aren't relevant when you got a company that's flipping to actual profitability, in my opinion. Okay. Risk. I identified 3 key risks with the stock. Delays and cancellations in product execution. Yes, that could certainly be a risk. A faltering in the TAM gap net income route to profitability. Certainly, that could be absolutely a risk factor, right? S&P 500 inclusion is not guaranteed. Sure. I can tell you it's looking pretty darn good. I can tell you that. Based upon Palantir's market cap, based upon the profitability coming in and what I think is going to come in this next few quarters, I think we're looking. I don't. It's not in the bag, but I would say if I had to put odds on it right now, 90% we're in the S&P 500 by this time next year. 90%. I think, I would say 90% odds. We're in the S&P 500 by this time, next year. Let's just put it that way, okay? Conclusion. I missed the initial run on Palantir as I had a neutral hold rating on the stock. This has led to an opportunity cost of 61.4% alpha move on the stock. After reviewing the Q1 fiscal year 2023 earnings call in the company's AIP con, I gained a lot more confidence in the growth momentum for the company, particularly in the U.S. commercial sector. Furthermore, I think the end of fiscal year 2023 is setting up as a nice catalyst for the stock, as the company would then become eligible for inclusion in the S&P 500 index, which would attract greater institutional money and a lot of passive flows through instruments such as index funds, such as the Vanguard, VU, and a million others, right? My thesis places some trust on management's commentary. However, the data shows trust is well earned as management has consistently delivered positive surprises for more than 10 quarters now. I recognize the valuation on a 1-year forward P basis is slightly high premium since the start of 2022. However, I think so long as the company continues to deliver and surprise the positive business momentum, the key risk for the project cancellations and hiccups to trailing 12-month profitability will be kept at bay. All things considered, I am changing my rating to a buy, okay? So, yeah, I think he made some definitely compelling points there, and I think the main one kind of around his trust in regards to the management team and things like that, okay? So, you know, the one thing I think this gentleman missed, and I think everybody's missing in regards to Palantir, this is the one thing I think everybody's missing right now. If this company really has this crazy demand right now, where everybody and their grandma is looking at this company, right? And they start blowing away revenue expectations, which analysts have them doing like 12, 15% type, sleepy type growth rates for a company like Palantir, right? If they start blowing away those numbers, I can tell you that net income is going to fly a lot more than a lot of people are anticipating. And that's going to obviously change the way you're going to value this company in a very, very substantial way. And I think that's the one thing that I think is the most overlooked thing out there right now, because Palantir could very easily over the next 12 months eat so fast in terms of that net income that a lot of people start to look at the stock and say, oh my gosh, can you believe when it was only XYZ market cap that was so cheap? Because look at the type of net incomes this company's starting to throw off on a quarterly basis. That's what happened with Tesla. That's what happens with great growth companies. They have these massive epic moves in their earnings per share, and you begin to look at a stock that you thought was so expensive. You thought it was so expensive. And you realize, oh my gosh, when I thought it was expensive, it was dirt cheap. And so, it's not in the bag, but I think there's a decent probability this is a situation that's going to play out here in Palantir. And we'll just have to see, okay? Alrighty, next up here, I want to react to this one in regards to this gentleman. AI might be the biggest investing theme in human history, okay?
Chief Investment Officer Keith Fitzgerald. Keith, just your thoughts in general on this market. It won't quit. I know all of the things, all of the logical things, all the things they teach you on Wall Street, 101, 202, 303, says we should be crashing, but the market won't quit.
Exactly. That's the best part about this, is people have been arguing with you and me for years that stocks are expensive, that tech's going to go away, that the bears are going to come out. They predicted 10 out of the last 2 recessions, Charles. A market like this exists because there's real profits and real companies making them. I think it's an extremely compelling and exciting time to be very focused on the trends of our lifetime.
So talk to us about that, because, we know generative AI, which I think has stolen some of the headlines from a lot of the other exciting things out there. This is the 4th industrial revolution, and that's just one component of it.
I don't watch Fox Business much, but when I do, it's very entertaining. Let's just put it that way. The way these folks talk is just so much different, man.
Well, it is, and people, Charles, they underestimate the magnitude of this. This is on par with the introduction of penicillin, the invention of electricity, distributed generation. I think, dare I say it, that AI may, in fact, be the single largest investment trend in recorded human history. I think it's going to add $30 to $50 a share to many companies, starting with Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, some of the great names that everybody's complaining about because they're so narrow and so expensive. They haven't even gotten started yet.
Now, all right. Hold your horses for just a moment, please. Can we just hold our dang horses, sir? Holy smokus, how many 5-hour energies did you have, sir? Okay, can we just hold our horses before we start calling this the biggest investing opportunity in modern history or whatever we want to call this? Okay, folks like this, I think, are the type of people that give maybe this AI investing cycle maybe a bad name. And I understand he has conviction around this and he's excited, and that's great. But it's just the way he comes across sounds kind of like more pumping type activity. It seems like there's no even keelness. It's just like, oh, this is so big. This is crazy, man. And you're totally missing out if you're not on this wave. So, man, we got to let these things play out a little bit, okay? Let's just let them play out.
Do we broaden that out, though? I guess there has to be a point, right, as a tool where it also helps you get to your bottom line, like a Tesla. I know you like Tesla, which, by the way, is another name Wall Street hates. But could you imagine if they really can get AI involved in there even to a greater degree?
Exactly, because that's the thing, right? Everybody who is poo-hooing it, particularly the perma bears who have had the stage for so many months now, what they don't understand is that they are inherently biased through the lens that they're looking at the rear view mirror. If you start to look forward...
Sir, the perma bears haven't had the stage this entire year, pretty much, okay? They had from Q4 2021 all the way through the beginning of Q4 2022. They had the stage for a year, okay? They had the stage for a year. They haven't had that stage this entire year for the whole 6 months so far.
Which is what Elon Musk, what Tim Cook does, what any of the prominent CEOs do. You see a very different picture. I would submit that the E hasn't even gotten started, particularly with that. And all the gamesmanship, forget about it. Your opening was brilliant today. You've got to be in to win, but you got to be in with the right companies.
All right, before I let you go, you've also been a little cautious in terms of, you know, I think you told your subscribers it's not time to really spread your wings. What does that mean?
What that means is you want to play with the very best names, and I'm talking household names, top 1 or 2 positions in their respective industries. It's tempting to go out for the little guys, tempting to go out for the small stocks, but you're going to get skinned because you can't beat a supercomputer at chess. Why would you be able to beat a supercomputer, highly leveraged trader that's going to pick you off like a grape off a vine? You got to stick with the big names because those are things that are going to power forward and endure the ups and downs.
And nobody wants to be a grape off the vine, I can tell you. Keith, thank you so much.
So, you know what was really concerning about that? Did you guys pick up on what I just picked up on here? Okay, this is extremely concerning. Extremely concerning. Listen to this again.
In their respective industries. It's tempting to go out for the little guys, tempting to go out for the small stocks, but you're going to get skinned because you can't beat a supercomputer at chess. Why would you be able to beat a supercomputer, highly leveraged trader that's going to pick you off like a grape off a vine? You got to stick with the big names because those are things that are going to power forward and endure the ups and downs.
And nobody.
So this is where things, I hope you caught that, okay? This is where things get very confusing. Because this gentleman is talking about this is, the biggest investing theme of our lifetime, blah, 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 whatever. Cool, okay. But then all of a sudden you're worried about traders picking you off. Like, what are we playing this for? Are we playing this for investment decisions, as in we're going to be in these for the next many years? Or is this like some little trading game that's like, this is where the hot moves are right now, so this is what we got to play? That's the type of inconsistency I hate in the market. It's like, what are you? Then this happens a lot in the market where traders try to disguise themselves as investors. You're not the same. We are not the same. We are not the same. If you are a trader, you are not like me at all. We don't think the same. We don't do the same stuff. You're not listening to conference calls at 3 a.m. You're not reading annual reports. You're not doing any of this stuff, okay? You're looking at your little lines and your little charts and doing all your little stuff, okay? And I'm actually doing real stuff. And the real players that actually make the real money are the investors. We aren't the same. And so don't try to disguise like you're me, and then you're over here and you're talking about, we're trading in and out of this, and, I got to worry about at the end of the day, that's all irrelevant to an investor. I don't care what the machines are doing and the supercomputers are doing. It's completely irrelevant to me. It literally doesn't matter at all for an investment decision that's going to play out over the next several years. So that's just important to keep in mind. And I think a lot of you experienced folks in the market, you understand the difference between an investor and a trader. But for new people, they can get very confused. It's hard to draw the lines in between what is a stock trader and what is a stock investor. Investors are thinking long-term, years. Traders are thinking about tomorrow, today, next week, okay? There's a whole different ball game there. Appreciate everybody joining me as always. Thanks so much, folks. If you're looking to apply for my private group, check out the description area down there. I'll put the Seeking Alpha if you want that free 14-day trial dealio. That link still works, so I'll put that as pinned comment just if you're interested in reading more Palantir articles or on other stocks as well and things like that. And but yeah, if you're looking to apply to join my private group, then check out the description area. Much love as always, and have a great day.